Putin's father strike eye of his wife this pitchfork. Good start, but let's hear how Vox started.
Undercover spy in East Germany for the Soviet security agency, the KGB. The Soviet
What's a lie? This dude never was a spy. KGB rejected him because they were thinking he's not good enough.
Признан негодным для работы в разведке, и он там не работал ни одного дня.
economy was in a free fall, and all of these companies ended up in the hands of a few extremely wealthy men, known today as Russia's oligarchs. At the same time, the new Russian state was having a hard time establishing itself. Russia's first president, Boris Yeltsin, was wildly unpopular for cooperating with the West. And to make matters worse, he was an alcoholic, and many Russians thought he was an embarrassment. In order to stay in power, he leaned on the support of these oligarchs, surrounding
Wait, so they are from nowhere, came oligarchs. How they become that rich, what type of business they doing, and the most no making sense part is...
In order to stay in power, he leaned on the support of these oligarchs, surrounding
So oligarchs ruling everything, but they obey the president? Vox, are you okay with your head? You literally say...
economy was in a free fall, and all of these companies ended up in the hands of a few extremely wealthy men, known today as Russia's oligarchs.
And then...
In order to stay in power, he leaned on the support of these oligarchs.
just a big brain. In reality, they didn't mention what country were ruled by mafia groups, a lot of mafia groups, what calls OPG. Each of them had a personal army, but how did they recruit soldiers? Very simple, sport sections. So the future president joined the judo section and became mafia soldiers.
Worsened after the fall of the Soviet Union. This is where Vladimir Putin enters politics.
Bullshit. Putin's plans to pass Portugal's gross domestic products. 20 years later, Russia's still behind. We even can't pass Costa Rica, and our average salary is $150, but our government says it is $450.
In 1991 and becomes the deputy mayor of St. Petersburg.
Actually, after KGB rejected him, his professor recently met him on corridor. Putin was crying and Sobchak took him as his assistant. In that day, Putin say, "We will make a lot of cash." Everyone called Putin a moth. It is something like rude version of a dog. The meaning of his nickname is simple. Putin is a weak person, very gentle, and no one ever would think he can betray someone. That's why everyone called him moth. After Sobchak moves on his career, Putin took his place as a mayor. It's much better just to show this. The mayor who fooled St. Petersburg stole $122 million. He was cruelly used by mafia's bosses to clean the money.
Journalists later uncovered evidence that suggests Russian security services could have been complicit in the Moscow bombings, perhaps knowing they would spark support for a strong man like Putin.
Yes, what's a fact? We even call this sugar inside house, or sugar from Ryazan.
Key tools, but he quickly suppresses the oligarchs under his rule. Those that support Putin are rewarded, those
Vox especially don't want to tell you how rich Russian and CIS oligarchs. Each of them have their personal army. To them belongs casino, banks, oil, gas, trees and ore. In June, the American television channel NBC presented an investigation into the largest private owners of agriculture's land in the United States. They turned out to be Gates couple, the founder and the largest shareholder of Microsoft, Bill Gates, and his wife Melinda. Through proxies, they control more than 269,000 acres, which corresponds to 108,000 hectares. In Russia, Bill and Melinda Gates would not even be included in the top 50 largest latifunds with such allotments. This is despite the fact that the United States has almost twice as much agricultural land in circulation. The industry consulting company BFL compiles a rating of the largest owners of agricultural land in Russia every year. The cutoff point for entering in the rating is just 100,000 hectares. The leader, the Mirator, agriculture holding owned by the Linkov brothers, has controlled more than 1 million hectares for at least the past 2 years. Among the top 5 of the ratings, there is not a single agriculture holding. This is a land bank of less than 600 1,000 hectares. Also jails, all football tracks and sports stadiums, and etc. You know who the richest person in Britain? Queen? King? No, Russian oligarch. And who the second one? Another oligarch. One of them even buys a football club. And I remind you, what Putin isn't a mafia boss, he's a muff. If Forbes were real, there will be only Russian names.
Khodorkovsky was sentenced to 14 years in jail, this on a new conviction of embezzling oil.
This is effectively a vendetta from Vladimir Putin for Khodorkovsky getting involved in opposition politics.
With the oligarch
Is this the face of someone who will spend 10 years in jail? Vox, after 2 weeks he got free. He even have his YouTube channel right now.
invaded two of Russia's neighbors and strengthened ties with Syria and Iran. He's intent on
Russian government using Kremlin bots. These are literally bots or bloggers who spreading the political opinions on the internet. Remember situation with USA pre? Here the proofs what Kremlin helped him. And I was wondering, do Russian government have bots from abroad? Is this Vox video sponsored? Well, yes, it is. It's just that absurd. Here's the example how absurd this video is. Pablo Escobar, he built a lot of clinics and schools. He was a man with big smile. And a billionaire. Thanks for watching. Putin is clearly a terror guy, and Russia lost so many Earth during his period, and he ruined much more lives than Pablo Escobar, and sold much more drugs than Pablo Escobar. Instead of talking about what Putin might be one of the richest person ever exist, we hear the fake stories from terror gangster to the richest person ever and president. This was true history of Vladimir Putin and Vox debunks from AOE.